We'll call the Pownal Select Board regular meeting Thursday, May 9th at 2013 at 7 p.m. For the agenda approval of the minutes, 5/2/13, warrants, mail, transfer station monthly board meeting, old business temporary holding area for stray dogs. No news business as of the moment.
With HAP's not coming, right? So.
Right, I was going to get to that when we got down to it, but that's okay. HAP won't be coming. For the transfer station will be eliminated because we met over there on a site visit at a 6 o'clock meeting that was a special meeting tonight. So take a motion on the agenda to approve it.
So moved. Thank you.
All in favor? Approval of the minutes 5/2/13.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Warrants. Payroll. 5/5/13 to 5/10/13 in the amount of $5,591.21. Accounts payable, 5/10/13 in the amount of $13,662.10. Your larger items there is your legal expensive, waste management, diesel fuel. I believe you got lawn mowing in there and a couple other items at septic service. Those are your higher items that brought it up there. Those are your warrants.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Mail, we have a letter from Walt Klinger on, he attended the Bennington County Regional Commission's Energy Commission, and it was the meeting at Miss Andrea Klun's, Executive Director of Vermont Energy Action Network, gave an overview of VEN's network and goals. There is a pamphlet in here, Energy Action Network Annual Report of 2012. If anybody's interested to look at this, contact this office or whatever. For more information on it. Again, we're looking for a town service officer. This position is for a term of 1 year. A service officer acts as an agent for the town and operates a voucher system to provide housing and meals to transit in emergency situations. Please submit a letter of interest to the Pownal Select Board, P.O. Box 411, Pownal, Vermont, no later than May 16th. We have an advertisement in the paper. We are still looking to fulfill this position. If anybody out there is interested. Good news in the mail. It says, could you please let Casey know we have selected your application for the bridge on Main Street to be sent to Montpelier for final approval. We will need a copy of the town's proof of insurance to send with the application. No work can begin until we receive the actual signed contract. Thanks. Application for North Pownal Road Class 2 resurfacing and Mount Anthony Road culvert were not selected, but the bridge in Pownal Village has been. So that's something that's been on the back burner for quite a while, and we will be moving forward with that, which is a very big plus. So we're pretty pleased on that one.
My bridge? In Northwest Hill, right? Yeah.
Yep, that's the cement bridge going over to it. That's been in need of repair for many years we've applied and we have finally gotten the okay. So it's a good thing. And that is our mail. Okay. We had a 6 o'clock special meeting at the transfer station to do a site review on the possibilities of a temporary holding facility for animals for our possible new dog warden, if one applies. There seem to be some conflicting statements that there may not be allowed on that property that we will have to check into to see if in fact it is and to see what we could do, if anything. Also, with the board's approval, we'll ask it as a motion. If that is not an acceptable, should we check onto the town highway department's property on the same particular to see if it's doable over there through our...
I'll make a motion to...
Well,
What do you want, Rich?
can I say something before we make a motion?
Yep.
I don't mean to table this any longer or put it off any longer than necessary. However, I would like to see if we do get any interest in the dog warden position. And if somebody does apply for it and we do get a dog warden, I think that person should be somewhat involved with, if we decide to go ahead with this. I realize it's a select board decision. I'm not making that a motion, however...
No, conversation.
Yeah, I would like to throw it out there for some discussion, to see what kind of interest, if any, we get on this, because obviously the person that wants to be the dog warden of the town of Pownal, I think it's important that they have some input into this. That's, I guess, my only thought.
I will just touch on that only because having a couple of years under my belt longer on the board and seeing the difficulties getting people to apply for this position. Excuse me, one of the problems we have is people that may want to apply for it don't have an area to bring them that they would if they did. Now,
Well, we still can use the Great Fields kennel and the intern.
What I'll do at this point, since you mentioned that, can I at this point, with a motion from the board, combine this conversation with old business, where it says temporary holding facility for stray dogs? The board has no problem with combining these two at this point, because they both are related to the same. All right. When you're talking Great Fields, if we sign a contract with them, and it's your understanding that we will take, our dog officer will take these animals there, instead of having a holding facility here. Here's the problem you have. You have a sheet in front of you. Pownal, during our regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 p.m., from 3 p.m., 6 p.m. Saturday, 9 to 5 p.m. Sunday, 9 to 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Wait a minute, 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. a.m. on Saturday, and 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Saturday. So what you have is all these hours in between that you can't bring an animal there. So if you have a dog officer, what does he do with it? This is where the keyword temporary holding is. Regardless what we do, we have a problem because we can't deliver it somewhere, and unless somebody wants to take it home, to their own home, this is the issue. There's other things in there.
We've dealt with Great Fields for how long?
Not at all. This is a contract we asked them about to see what the guidelines were.
Okay.
I mean, the expenses, they're going to be a little more, but we can't get in my way of thinking, we can't get into the expenses on having them clean, having them bathed, the extra money, et cetera, yet, because we haven't crossed the first thing, the hours. The hours of their operation versus, if we could pick up animals from 9 to 10, then we're all set. We know where to take them. But if we get them at 10:30, now we get a problem. If we get them on a Sunday afternoon, we got a problem. Where does this person do with them? It's hard enough getting a person to apply for these positions, then all of a sudden take both their hands and tie them behind their back and say, okay, now do it.
The dog.
Even the last guy said he'd keep them for that little bit of time.
But he didn't have...
He had a place to take them within a certain length of time. He didn't want to keep them for days because then he would... there was quite a few reasons he gave me for that. And it was people, they'd say, well, the conditions aren't that good or what have you, because he'd probably chain them and had an igloo or whatever. He also had another shed. But I mean, usually if a person has, it isn't like we're picking up 15, 20 dogs at a time. You pick up one, it seems to me you ought to be able to hold it for, you got it 9 to 12 and 3 to 6 during the week, so there's plenty of time there. I mean, if you pick it up at noontime, you only got to hold it till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Or if you pick it up, before 9 in the morning, 9 o'clock, you can bring it up there.
That's assuming you got nothing else to do in your life.
Well, that I understand. But if a person has a lot of things going on in his life, he's not going to be. He probably would be more than willing to. We've had dog catchers before. They kept them for a day or two. Had no problem. We kept them longer than that.
That's why I say it. I don't know. I'd kind of like to see if we can get a dog warden first, and see what position they hold on this. If we should be fortunate enough to obtain a dog warden, to get their thoughts on it. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there for discussion.
Well, the other thing you're going to run into, and like I said, I'm not against this. I'd love to have somebody step
that's
forward
why we're
with
discussing
the place.
this.
But
Let's turn over all the rocks.
Right, you have zoning qualifications on where you can hold these animals. All right, because you can get up to 5, or maybe, hopefully not, but certain areas you can't do this in. All right, in the village, et cetera, So now you've eliminated one group that may be interested because they can't do it where they live, even for that temporary holding. All right.
Sure, they can hold one dog for a day.
What if they don't have one? What if they have 5?
They're not going to pick up 5 in this town in one day. I never saw that happen.
Well, we've had 5 a week, so regardless how they were brought in.
Administered into this kennel. I mean, we have to have a program that we have to look at all these issues, and I'm worried about liability. That's a big thing to me, is liability. And if we start taking an animal and we're going to be responsible for it, with a kennel and all this other stuff, we're letting ourselves open for all kinds of liability. And I got the rule, not the law, I guess, it's the statute tells you about kennels and how you're supposed to have them and everything else, and what the size is, and how you're supposed to water them and feed them, and you're supposed to be able to heat the place if up to 50, if it gets below 50 degrees. There's a lot of regulations and stuff for these shelters, and I think we're opening ourselves up to a great liability for just a few dogs. Now, I asked the question over and over and over again, how many dogs do we have? Have we got picked up? I don't think we had hardly any dogs this year. And I just don't want to be out there in the cold. I mean, with another liability claim or more insurance.
Well, part of that theory is...
Before, every one of those regulations you just cited had been violated.
Exactly, and put us more at liability than what would be if...
That was... I don't believe we're looking at the same thing. I mean, if a person was running... If a person had...
One previous was somewhat up to par, but still is not quite.
They had a guy come down and look at these other ones because he was turned in, and apparently he was all right, and he had 3 animals there that had been there forever, which should have never been there. They should have been gone long before that. I mean, I don't mind being humane.
That's not adhering to your ordinance.
That's right. Our ordinance is we're supposed to do away with these animals. We're supposed to, and if you can get them placed, that's wonderful. That's a great, great thing. But if you can't, you have to get them euthanized or something else. Because the people, I know people that can't afford to have a dog. Yes. They shouldn't be paying that for somebody else's dog somewhere.
A lot of it comes down to being, first and foremost, a responsible pet owner. I had a dog, I considered myself a responsible pet owner, and I don't know whether it's public education or what, but we're dealing with this problem, okay? And this is a problem that has been going on in Pownal for quite some time, on and off the front burner, if I'm not mistaken.
It's not just Pownal, but we are.
Yeah.
Well, I'm only concerned with Pownal, really. So, I don't know. I know there's rules and guidelines to follow, and how much. Another point of contention here, or for discussion, is how much are we willing to spend of taxpayers' money on a facility like this?
We got it already spent. We've got the money in the bank.
How much?
We've got a little over $2,000 that was donated for this project alone. And it's been sitting in limbo for years.
Well,
So it was donated for this purpose, to do something. I do not want to build a kennel. I don't want to get into it.
I know you want to,
The key word is temporary.
That's right.
And what Ronnie just said about keeping them, having to be heated at 50 degrees, having to have water, having to have whatever. I gotta believe if we're gonna cross these T's and dot these I's this way, this is what it's gotta be. That same person that brings the dog in on a Saturday night at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night and changes it to a dog coop out in the backyard with no heat, no water, no shelter other than the coop, has just broke all the things that we would have done if we had a facility that was out there temporary holding again. It's the same thing, whether it's for an hour or all night or that Sunday between the hours the place isn't open. I don't know what the guidelines are, how far we can get away with something, but I know we're doing nothing.
As a municipality, I'll bet we can't get very far.
Well, we're doing nothing right now.
I know, and
we are doing something. We're discussing
Bennington does not have one. They got a lot bigger tax base than we do. That's my point, is I don't think we should be strapping the people to something that's going to snowball into a big expense, and just so some people can feel good, a feel-good society. We can't do that.
No, I don't see where you're thinking feel good. We're picking up an animal and controlling it until we can find it, and then if we can't,
we had
the
one
situation.
Over here on Middle Pownal Road, was over there for a year. That was not responsible doing. That was not responsible whatsoever. That dog should have been taken care of a long time before that. And we can't get into them things. I know that, hey, look, I don't hate animals any more than anybody else, but I feel that we're a town that doesn't have much money to spend on such and such a thing as that. We should be going after the people who are where we're picking up the dogs, and we should have a stronger dog policy in the town if we're going to get into this humane effort. But Bennington doesn't do it. I'd like to know if any other towns, what do they do? I think we ought to research this a lot more before we decide on going into a program that's going to snowball into something that nobody's going to like. And I'm telling you, the liabilities. I had a tenant rented a house from me. He had 3 German Shepherds, 2 good-sized ones and 1 little one. I had to insure the house with Lloyd's of London. It's the only place I could get insurance. So all I'm telling you is facts. I think we ought to protect ourselves as a town.
And I'm going to repeat what I said before, is I'm not against this idea of a temporary shelter. I am not against the idea of it all. I just want to make sure that if we go through with this, that it's done in the right way.
Okay.
That's my...
We're bouncing.
I think that when we do get an ACO, that the person that gets the position should be given the training to issue citations and set fines.
No, they have to. That's,
Yeah.
no, that's
And I think
procedure.
that they should follow, be able to follow through on whatever.
Our biggest thing probably, Mike, do you want to add to this? Not to interrupt you, Dale, but I want to get to a kind of an important point here.
No,
All right.
it's a touchy one, but
All right, if we're going to do, if you want to wait and see if somebody applies, and I'd love to see the rabbit jump out of the hat, believe me, because I'd love not to see this on our agendas anymore. But if somebody applies and they say, well, geez, I would be, but I got no place, I think we ought to research now that we can do it either at the transfer or at the highway facility. So if that opportunity comes where John Doe comes in, geez, I'd do this job if I had a place, we can say, listen, does that sound good to you? We've got it. Then we're going to have to kick it in gear, put a shed up there, and put the fencing up so he's got it, so we don't lose him.
Which is fine, as long as we're within
Right.
statutes set forth.
But we need to check those statutes now so we can answer that question.
Exactly, and I'm not against that, as long as we do it in the correct manner.
Because if we're fortunate enough to have
Does that go
somebody,
to the Agency of Natural Resources?
I believe it does. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I just don't think by sticking a shed up there and putting some fence posts in the ground, and I think there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Dale.
That's as a kennel.
No, I don't think it's a kennel. I think
I was
it's
just reading about
anytime,
it as kennels and
anytime you hold an animal. Okay, and again, I could be wrong, but that's the way I read it.
and I do, I've read the same stuff, and if you read it, boy, you gotta build a Holiday Inn for them. But we've had people come down on reports and look at one of our holding facilities where they were at, because it was supposedly horrendous, and they walked away and said it was okay.
dog poop and chain.
Right. In one fenced-in area. So I'm saying there's got to be a guideline limit. That if you're doing something, it's better than doing nothing. But
And I'm all for researching it and coming up with the correct
I
answer.
would like to ask Dale if he would be courteous enough to try to do a little investigating on this, if the board would like Dale to do that, just to check to see what we could get away with on a temporary.
Yeah.
Would that be something you'd like to
I
check
don't
into?
like the term "get away with." I like the term. I like the term "what we're legally bound to."
Minimum
Okay.
boundaries that we have to stay within to do this.
As a temporary holding.
As a temporary till we could house something else, even if it meant just in the hours between that we can't get to these places that are open, just to cover us. And also, at that point, if we could have, Linda, if you would check, the board agrees, with Casey about his place, and have Hap check again for the same thing, temporary holding till hours we're able to get to another holding facility, if so be, because of the hours that these places are open. I mean, I don't have a problem with these contracts, except
Is this a
Yeah, Dale, get down animal shelters and stuff. There's the paperwork I got.
is this a 1-year contract?
I believe it is.
Because I don't see.
I didn't see a time thing.
I didn't see anything on here if this is per dog or.
No, per year, that's what it, I'm pretty sure that's what that is,
It'd be a
because we
different
talked
area.
about it before. You got the per dog prices are in there, it's $13.
I realize that, but there's no dates in here.
It's just an agreement.
Yeah, it's an
It's
agreement.
not really
As
a
long as you
contract,
want.
it just-
You want it for a year, 2 years, I imagine you sign it for But and they don't have to clean them all either if they're not flea infested and been running around forever. That's it. They have to be bathed if they're gonna be, if they're flea infested and what have you. But the only reason I'm so forward with that is because I read that paper that I just gave to Dale, and that's regulations, and it seems to be that we are leaving ourselves wide open, where I think with a private individual, lots of times you could do things that a municipality cannot.
Well, it certainly isn't going to cost us anything to, if you'd like to
Find out.
pursue whether.
We also got a thing here, maybe somebody ought to go, you know, the Municipal Dog Control Workshop. Maybe we ought to get brought up to speed on this kind of stuff. Somebody ought to go anyway.
It's what, in June, I believe, isn't it?
That's in June 13th, yes it is. But we're not, I'm still not convinced we're overrun with stray dogs. Probably have one now and then, but.
I make a motion we research everything. It's time to get something cleared up, either one way or another.
Luckily, a lot of the, not a lot, but a small percentage, I'll say, it probably is a little bigger than a small percent, are actual dogs that are lost. And they do get returned to their owners. Unfortunately, there is a percentage that do not. That's the percentage we have a problem with, and it's a shame that we can't somehow hold these animals that the people are actually out looking for, if we do luckily find them within our own lines.
Also, if we're going to pursue this and on a research basis, I'd also like to contact, for somebody to contact our insurance company and find out, should we build a facility like this, do we need a separate rider to protect the town from any liabilities from bites or anything like that, and what that added cost would be for our insurance on this.
If you want, I will check if the board's in approval. I'll check with our insurance. I've been on the phone with them quite often lately on different
That falls
matters.
under everything in research. I'll research it and see what we
Does
come up
everyone
with.
want to second that so we can go on with some more
Move on.
discussion?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we beat this up enough, hopefully.
Well, no.
No, we haven't? Okay, good. I was hoping we wouldn't get done early.
I'm hoping to have an applicant or whatever to present to the board after the 23rd. I believe that's when the deadline was on the ad. So, I don't know, do you want to put any time limits on what you're doing here, or when this might go back on the agenda, or?
For the dog, the animal control officer?
And our information.
Research and your information.
How about our 2-week span?
Sounds reasonable. June meeting.
Because we've got an extra meeting this month, right?
Yep.
30th?
Yeah, if you're meeting.
Yep, why don't we? Is there a reason we shouldn't be?
That's vacation week for
Memorial Day?
Memorial
Oh,
Day.
that's Friday, or that's Friday starts that. See that? I think it's important enough that we try to wrap this up, if at all possible. That puts us out 2 weeks.
We can always add it to the agenda if we get an app, right?
Yeah, if we get somebody that's pulled in, we can just by Tuesday get it on the agenda and get it going, yes. I thought of something, and
You cannot do that when I just ran an ad with a deadline. You need to give your applicants the time that was allotted.
right. But no, I mean the information.
No, I'm addressing my.
Oh, okay. I had another thought, and this is, you can beat me up on it, it doesn't matter. It's Friday Eve, I don't care. An option maybe, and I have no clue, I know they do this at different animal shelters. If people out there were willing to, after the 5-day holding period, on a nice animal that wasn't vicious, wasn't a dog that needed to be put down, but needed a home, if we were able to have them adopted out as a holding
You want a foster parent?
foster family until we can home them. If anybody out in television land understood or would be willing to do that, they could contact us at any time, just giving us their feelings toward this. So in case we do get something put together like this,
Maybe you should just ask the people what they want for their town.
well, I'm kind of doing that. It's, we need help in this, and everybody should be involved. As pet owners, they should be more responsible. Like Rich said earlier, we've discussed that many times, but obviously that doesn't work totally. But some are responsible, and I hate to see everything, the shoe doesn't fit everybody. And some people actually lose their animals, and they do try to get them, and for unseen reasons, they don't find them. So if we're working together and we do have a good facility or a good setup to try to help them, it's not the cure of everything, but it should be at least a good attempt.
Prime example of that was the banner this morning.
Yep. And it does work, so anybody out there with any ideas, suggestions, anything that would bring light to our little life, God, bring it to us. Open ears, in letter, in call, whatever. We're open to suggestions, we're open for better ideas.
Pownal@sauber.net.
Yep. No, I mean, if somebody else has got a hula hoop out there, bring it on.
Right.
We've exhausted ourselves trying to do it.
Just solve this all by yourselves.
And if somebody out there's got something they can create for us, more than willing
Bring it
to
on.
listen. Yep, absolutely. Now have we beat that to death long enough?
Yeah.
Okay,
For tonight.
Or tonight.
all right. If I see nothing more before us, does the board have anything?
I do have a question, I guess. Does the town of Pownal, we have an email address where citizens can email the town? And who does that go to?
Selectman's office.
Selectman's office. Okay. And I guess what I'm wondering is, can there be an email address where each one of the selectmen can receive it in their, in their inbox or whatever with that? In other words, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if somebody's got, this is a perfect example, unless I come down here, Linda, right? That's the only way I could possibly see the emails that come into...
I can forward them all to you.
Well, no, I'm not worried about it, but for the whole board.
Information that should be emailed to us, Linda usually does. Any other informations I would be very leery about picking up on your computer, because if you pick up relatively informal information about something, you are not supposed to delete it, period.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
means I don't know how much you want to store. I don't want it.
No,
I don't want it sent to me. Don't need it. If it's something that's important, it can be sent to me through this office from our administrator, things that we should know about, or we get it in our mail or whatever package. I'm not a real fond believer of, this isn't a lifetime position and I don't want this stuff.
no. And not only that, can I view those emails if I want? Okay. I guess that's good enough.
I'll just forward them to you.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. You do, and we're going to have a little bit of discussion.
Did you take that part of the seminar too? About the email?
I did.
If you were in that one or not?
Well, I think that was, from what I got out of it, was communication between selectmen. But if a townsperson wanted to email a concern, that's all I'm talking about, is the taxpayers, the town people, if they want to email a concern.
And they do.
And that email address is?
Pownal@sauber.net.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
Okay. Anything else, guys? With that, I will accept a motion.
Motion adjourned.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I wanted to say it.
You can say aye. 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 Thank you.